Hey, welcome to the Empowered Creativity Show, where we help you dream the impossible. We encourage you, teach you, and help you create the business success that you desire and that God desires for you. Well, hey, welcome to the show. I am excited to introduce you to Justin today. Justin Weeder is the owner and head coach of the Covert Closer. And when he was 25, he got the opportunity to reinvent his life. He was unemployed, spending his time playing video games, eating junk food, wasting away. And then he became homeless. So after a short time in a sales job that was less than inspiring, he ran across a book in a secondhand store that totally changed his outlook on life forever. And I'm so excited that he found that book, or that book found him, because he took responsibility. He changed his perspective. He learned that sales, remember that sales job that wasn't inspiring? He learned that sales was actually very well suited for him, or he was suited for it. Anyway, I'll let him tell the story. So welcome to the show today, Justin. I'm so glad that you are here. Give us a little bit more. Tell us a little more detail, because I love your story and just that transformation that you got to choose a different way. So tell us about that.
Yeah, of course. So that book, Sell or Be Sold by Grant Cardone, I had to put it in the freezer a couple times. In the freezer. In the freezer, yeah. I got that from friends. Joey reads The Shining and he gets scared and puts it in the freezer. That's how scary that was to me. Like the ideas in that book. One of them was, hey, as if you're a sales guy, you can't be going to lunch with other sales guys. What Grant says, right? That bothered me. I'm like, I deserve lunch, right? But I missed the point. I had to read it like 6 times. I missed the point though. The point was, it's not that you shouldn't go to lunch. Let's say you should go to lunch with people that you can sell to, because your time is your only resource that you have complete control over. Money can disappear, but time is all you got, right? So that was the first thing. And then another one that really got me that I still think about almost every day is life doesn't happen to you. Life happens because of you. And man, when I started to like really absorb that and start looking around, and I'm like, okay, well, my roommate wouldn't have bailed on me if I would have put that money in the bank, but I didn't put the money in the bank because I had gotten a repo a few months earlier and I was afraid they were going to take it. So let's track it all the way back, right? I wouldn't have got a repo if I would have paid my bills, and I would have paid my bills if I wasn't sucking at selling or spending it on alcohol and other BS, right?
Yeah.
Right. And that was tough for me to realize, but like you said, I'm really glad it did, because it gave me this sense of freedom. Hey, I'm in control. So whatever lot I got here with my choices. If I want to get somewhere else, I just got to make different choices.
Yeah. And that's so key in life, in every aspect of life, is deciding not to be the victim of those circumstances, right? But to change your reaction to them and make different choices, and not play the victim, but choose to be responsible for whatever your part in it was.
Yeah.
And that is so key. So tell us how you, what was that next step then when because you were in that sales job, you didn't enjoy it. Then you find the book, you realize you get that new perspective. What was the next thing you did?
I went back to college. Oh my God. And I did well, actually. I'm not a great student. And I actually have a disdain for formal education, but I had some great teachers. And I had an accounting teacher who got me into accounting and was like, dude, you got a mind for this. And it was weird to me because I had always been told by teachers and by my mom growing up that I was bad at math. But I'm not, though. Like accounting, I got straight A's in every accounting course I took because it just made sense to me. Numbers happen to just make sense to me.
Yeah.
I can do a lot of math in my head. And I don't think it's that impressive. I just memorize shit, right? But for other people, it looks cool. So for other people, yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm I'm going to go back to college and I'm just going to get like a regular career. Right. And I'm going to be an accountant is what I thought. But I had to still get a job. So sales was everything that was on my resume. So I ended up getting a job part-time at Best Buy. And I mean, I went from making like 50 to 60K a year to making like $13 an hour at Best Buy, which was tough for my ego and for my pocketbook. Right. But I was living at home. And while working at Best Buy, I started to kind of apply the stuff that I was learning. And I got another sales book, question-based selling. I started applying that stuff at Best Buy, and I was like, holy moly, like this is a way better way to sell. And I'm like, maybe this can work for me, because what I was doing before was like the classic sales bro stuff, or you're just really aggressive and really like in someone's face and try to make them feel bad or try to scare them, and get them to buy, and then get mad when they don't and try to pressure them into it, or do like the takeaway, all that cheesy stuff. That I just never felt good about. Right. And that's why it wasn't working, because I would either do it and then feel horrible, or I would not do it and not make any sales and still feel horrible. Right. I felt trapped.
Right.
So from there,
so what happened? What were the things that you implemented? Yeah. What were the things that you implemented in that? Just when it comes to like selling a TV,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Selling a stereo or whatever it was, like, what did you implement in that totally changed?
Yeah.
How did you change your sales tactic?
One of the things that Grant says in Sell or Be Sold is you're selling the hole in the wall, not the drill. Right. That's like so classic. It's become trope now. I don't even know if Grant said it first, but it's true. Right. The person coming into the hardware store for a drill, he doesn't need a drill. He needs a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
So I took that to TVs, and I'm like, well, how does that apply to TVs? Like what? Like they want a TV, right? But it's like, no, they don't want a TV. They want a family gathering, right? They want to look cool to their neighbors. They want to feel good about themselves, the fact that they can afford to buy a $5,000 TV, Or when it comes to stereo equipment, like they want to be able to listen to their favorite music in a way that they've never heard it before. Right. And they want to feel connected to the music. Right. And like a little, TV speakers, or even just like a little cheap soundbar can't do that. It can't make you feel connected to the music. It can't create a sound stage. Those are all features and shit. Right. But at the end of the day, that's what they want. They want to feel like at home, they're at the concert. And so through that realization, and then my boss at Best Buy was a phenomenal sales guy. Somehow all the best salespeople find their way into retail. And he helped me put together really good demos to speak to all that stuff. Right. And then I found, okay, like you're not selling a thing, you're selling the outcome.
Yeah. Yeah. I find this very interesting because, only because I was actually like just on a call with one of my clients, and this exact thing kind of came up today of still struggling with feeling that kind of slimy, salesy, whatever. Like, I don't want to be that. And I'm like, you don't have to be,
No.
For one, like you don't have to be, because that's not the right way to do it. And then I'm laughing now because I know we had spoken before, but I had forgotten that Best Buy was actually the place, right?
Yeah.
That you'd work. And so I actually used a Best Buy example today with her.
That's really cool.
So thank you. That probably was channeling, you from our previous conversation. So
you were ready to go based on that.
I was.
Like, all right, here we go.
I was. But yeah, I was talking to her about, so she's a therapist and moving into coaching. And I said, you're not unique. Most of the women that I work with, it's their first time getting into selling themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So they are their brand. When you go and you're looking for them, you're looking for their name. They may have a company name, but they're selling themselves. They're a solo business. They're coaching. They're creating online courses. They're creating community. So it has to be them. They can't hide behind a logo. They're not some big company name, right?
Right.
And so it feels weird promoting themselves.
It
and
must. Yeah.
not just promoting themselves, right? But then now I'm going to promote myself, which is already awkward and something that, I have to be seen. I have to like get over fear of being seen and known
seen.
and all of those things.
Mm.
And then move into, now I want you to buy my coaching package, or I want you to buy my online course. And how they make that that second transition of, now I'm seen, you hear me, I'm talking to you, and now I got to try to sell you my thing. And then they're shrinking back and they're like, oh, that feels so icky. How can they look at it differently? I know what I told my client, but I was channeling you, I think. So I'm going to let you say it. How can I help my client get over that fear, one, of coming across salesy as opposed to serving, and change the mindset around it as well?
Yeah. This is something that nearly every person struggles with. And myself, right? I'm sure you've been through it. That's so, the first thing I would tell them is like, hey, you're not alone. Anybody that's made this shift has felt this way. And then let them know, like, but the key is that you are going to make this shift. And typically what I find when I deal with people like that, they're dealing with the icky feelings, or they want to put themselves out there, they want to be seen. What I try to do is shift their perspective. So what I tell them is like, the focus of how you're feeling is like a light, right? It's like a spotlight. And right now you're taking that spotlight and you're shining it on yourself and going, oh my God, I'm so ugly. Oh my God. Right. But here's the thing. If you take that spotlight and you shine it the other direction at your client or your potential client, and you keep it there, you're in the darkness, which sounds bad. That's actually a shitty metaphor maybe, but your things aren't exposed because it's not about you.
Yeah.
Right. Like these people that your clients, like they're therapists, right? And so they're doing this to help people. I mean, same thing as me, right? Like same thing as you. They're at the end of the day, we're not doing this for money, right? Like I'm not Ty Lopez, okay? And I never will be, right? Not saying he does it for the money. I don't know his motivations, right? But I don't live in Beverly Hills and shit and drive Lambos and all that, right?
Right.
And I'm sure neither do your clients. And so sometimes they get to get those things cross-matched, right? Because they're focusing on the wrong thing. They're trying to jump ahead to this end of the sale, right? Yeah. And they're like, well, how do I get there? And it's like, no, it's not about how you get there. It's about how do you get to the next step in the process. And focusing on the person you're talking to, because they have pain, they have a problem, and you have the solution to that. So for you not to go out there, it's almost morally wrong for you not to go out there and try your damnedest to get in front of as many people as you can to let them know that you have this solution that can help them. Otherwise, how are they going to know?
Yeah. I like that you mentioned that. It's like almost morally wrong, because from the perspective that I come from, I'm helping women. We're Christ-centered. I'm trying to help them recognize their God-given gifts, and He gave them to us, not to hoard, not just for us.
Yeah.
He gave us specific gifts and specific abilities and ways of teaching and ways of serving and helping others for the purpose of serving and helping others.
Yeah.
And creating community and being part of the community. And so, yeah, if I'm too afraid to speak in front of the camera, if I'm too afraid to put a post out on Facebook, if I'm too afraid to reach out to somebody and say, hey, how can I help you? Then I'm hoarding my gift. Yes. And I'm not being a good steward of it and doing what God has intended for me to do, which is to help others with it. And what I love that entrepreneurship really is like the biggest profession or personal development game that there is, right? I mean, because you go through all the fears, all the anxiety, all of the beliefs, and whether they're right beliefs or wrong beliefs, and you got to face all of it to finally achieve what your goal is and achieve where you're supposed to be. And you'll as you work through more of that, more success comes.
Right.
And But it all boils down to, I mean, like, this is one of, I'll say, aside from what's the best product or what should I do or what course should I create or whatever, if you don't know how to sell it, then it's going to sit there and it's still not being used.
Yeah.
You're still hoarding it because you're too afraid to learn how to just talk to people and encourage them in their own abilities and say, and so how do you turn that conversation, like you said, that spotlight on them? What are the techniques that you use, or if you don't want to call them techniques, because that sounds too prescribed.
I like to call them social dynamics.
There we go.
So
what are some things that you do to help flip that so that I can quit focusing on me and I can just focus on that potential client in front of me and how I can serve them best?
Yeah. So the shift is in going from telling to asking. When you think about this kind of salesperson you don't want to work with, it's the guy or the girl that shows up and is like, look what I got, look what I got, look what I got. It's so great. It'll help you a lot. Let's go. Like the pitch man that you see on TV, right? Like the only reason they have to do it that way is because they can't ask you any questions. Trust me, if your TV if you could dial in, and they do this now with Zoom and stuff, right? Like virtual conferences and stuff, that's a better way to sell stuff because you can ask them questions. But so they make this connection between like themselves and the ShamWow guy. And it's like, you're not going to be the ShamWow guy. Okay. Because you're using a different medium than he did. Right.
Right.
And you don't have to be that guy at all, ever at any kind of, you can, if you want to, like you do a webinar, but you don't have to. Anyway, so it goes down to the social dynamics of asking questions. So what I tell folks is like, telling's not selling. And then on the back half of that, people don't believe what they hear. They believe what they say. Right. Mm-hmm. And you have to walk people through. So I'll give you guys some good stuff. Okay. So if you're doing cold outbound, like in the DMs, what I see a lot of folks do erroneously is they'll start a conversation and then they'll try to be this person's friend. Okay. You're not their friend though, right? Like your goal is not friendship. Your goal is business. And so they think it's awkward to start off with business, but if you look at the other side of it, it's actually not. And what it tells the person that you're dealing with is it says, this is a practitioner. This is a professional. This person doesn't have any time to be wasting trying to be my friend. Because think about that. Let's say you go down that path and you ask them questions and you share personal stuff about yourself and you don't talk anything business and you become friends, right? Well, then when you try to sell them, think about how your friends feel if you try to sell them your stuff.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a bait and switch.
Right.
Right. And so my clients find it empowering to show up authentically and tell someone, people say, well, what are you doing in my DMs? I'm trying to sell you something. Right. Like, you don't actually have to say those words, but you could say, you're like I tell people if they ask me, like, why did you reach out to me? I said, well, you look like my ideal client. And those folks struggle with these things. And so I thought I'd reach out to see if you're struggling with that too. Mm-hmm. And if they say, no, I'm not, you say, okay, great. And then you can decide what to do from there. For me, I might invite them to my group. I might say, hey, you got a podcast I could be on, that kind of thing. Like I might do that. But at the end of the day, I'm not showing up to be your friend.
Yeah.
Right. I got plenty of friends. And that's where the problem comes in, is we start to try to mix in and we think we need to build a relationship. You don't need to build a relationship. You need to build authority. Right. And it's different than a lot of people are comfortable with. But you have to really look at the alternative, because if you say you're not comfortable with that, then what you're saying then is that you are comfortable doing a bait and switch, or you are comfortable not selling at all.
Yeah.
And for me, those two options don't get me where I want to go. Does that help?
That does, because I think one of the things, I think we've all grown to where we recognize the random DM that's just like, hey, how you doing? Like, haven't talked to you in a long time, or, what are you doing? Just whatever, and it's like, where'd you come from?
Yeah.
So we all recognize those. And so you're sitting there waiting. When are they going to make their pitch?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
You're like ready for it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I understand that, where I am a little more appreciative of those who just come out and say, hey, I've got this group. You look like you'd be a great fit. Like, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And there may be some people, I think probably you're more amiable people that like that they want to talk about their friends and their family and their dog and everything before you talk about anything business, like might appreciate the hi, how are you doing first. But you know that at some point they're like, where's the catch? Like what's happening here? You know, I know what's happening. So when is it going to happen?
Yeah.
Um, and I think one of the things that I don't think it contradicts what you said, because I think relationship is important, but it's that you can build a relationship on any, like you get to choose the foundation, and you can choose to build the foundation on the pretending to be their friend, or you can choose to build the relationship on, I have something that's going to help you. And I see that I think it can help you. Can we talk about it?
That's it. That's it. And you have to be willing to have people tell you no, right?
Yeah.
Some people are going to
Yeah.
tell you no, and
They are.
and that's fine, right? Those aren't your people, right?
Right.
And I see this happen too, where people will reach out to folks that are not their avatar.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, of course this person told you no. Like
Yeah.
they're not the right person for you. Like, well, I'm trying to cast a wide net. No, you don't need to cast a wide net. You need to be a sniper.
Yes.
Right? Because you solve a very specific problem.
Yes.
And those are your people. And again, like a lot of people just don't know the economics of how many people they need to reach out to versus then how many people are going to jump on a call with them versus how many people are actually going to turn into a closed sale. And most coaches only need 5 to 10 clients a month to make a really good living. And if you spend a couple hours in the morning doing this kind of prospecting and you're quick, that's the other problem. Oh, it takes forever. Well, it takes forever because you're wasting time having a bullshit conversation. Excuse my language. Right. Right. You talk to somebody and you're like, man, I really want to be this person's friend. That's fine. Then be their friend. I'm down with that. I'm just saying, don't show up. Like you said, don't show up and then try to be their friend and then later try to sell them, because that's not going to work. Right.
If you're coming from that energy of like, it's such a waste of time, well, then you're wasting their time too.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Think about that. Right. Like they want you to get to the point too, because they're being polite, responding to your messages. They don't know you. Right. But at the same time, it's just like any other marketing message we come across. If it fits what I need, I'm going to click it.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So what are some really good ways? I would say, like, most of when I think about this audience, some of them may have come from that world of network marketing, where the whole DM friending thing is very popular.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're looking for, there's got to be a different way, right?
Yeah,
it might have come from marketing, or like I said, they're coming from just, I know I'm supposed to get this message out and I'm supposed to help. I've been doing this, whatever this is, right, in the corporate world for this long. I want to do it for myself. I want to have my own business. I want to go on my own. And I know that I can do the same thing I've been doing over here. I can teach others how to do it, or I can coach them through it. Or I can do a done for you service. Some of them are service providers. So maybe they were doing graphic design and social media management or whatever in a corporate setting. They want to now do their own thing and help entrepreneurs and provide that service. All of those things, whether you're in network marketing and you're trying to sell your product, and so I'm going to say this one thing. I don't help true product salespeople. Okay. All I have is a product. But when I look at network marketing, most of them, especially health and wellness industry, things like that, you're still coaching people along the way. There's still an interaction, unless in your mind, it's just a transaction of buy my product.
Yeah.
But most people that I work with, most people that I've done network marketing with, it is more about the relationship and coaching them to achieve their goals. And so there's a product involved. However, I'm not there to just sell you the product. I'm there for the long haul. Yeah. So to me, they still fit into my ideal client because of that. There's still a coaching aspect to what they're doing. Yeah. And so when I think about that, and think about those women that are doing that, what are some tips that you can give them to help them get over the hump of, I don't want to be salesy and I don't want to be pushy and all of that,
and transition to that more asking and serving from the heart of, I know this is so going to be so good for you. Now let me help you believe that it's good for you.
Yeah, right. Well, everybody's got goals, right? So what I would say in your conversations, you need to be searching for what these people's goals are, right? So the most effective network marketing pitch I ever sat through, the guy was like, "What are your goals, man?" And I mean, I told him, I was like, "Well, my goal is this, get out of debt, lose weight, blah, blah." I mean, to get out of debt and lose weight, like to a network marketer, they're like chomping at the bit, right? Because those are the things, right? Like, hey, you can lose weight this way and you can get out of debt.
Right.
But he kept it cool. He didn't jump all over that, right?
Yeah.
He was like, "Why are those things important to you?" And I told him why. He goes, "Okay." He's like, "So like, what kind of progress have you been making?" And I told him what kind of progress I've been making. He didn't shit all over me. Excuse my language. He didn't make me feel bad. He just asked me questions. I made myself feel bad. Right. And then he's like, "Look, man, I don't know that this is going to get you where you want to go immediately, but it'll probably speed it up for you." Right. He's like, "What would it be like if you got there in 6 months instead of 18 months? What would you do differently after that?" Like he asked me questions like that made me kind of visualize that future of, you know what I mean? And that's where you need to be. So, I don't know if you watch Billions. You watch Billions? So it's a really good show on Showtime. I think it's Showtime. It doesn't matter. Or Stars. Anyway, and there's a scene in there that I always remember where, so they're like billionaires, right? And they're like selling like real estate developments. And so the main guy is selling a real estate development to this other dude, and the guy's not listening, right? So he turns around, he goes and he gets like a VR headset. He's like, "Hang on, put this on." And the guy puts the VR headset on, and it puts him in the development and what it looks like. And it's got like the guy's name on the building and all that. And the guy's in the VR for like 2 minutes and takes it off. He's like, "All right, let's do it." Right? It's like, that's a perfect metaphor for what you need to do as a seller, is get them in that future state of where they want to go, and then let them know that whatever you're offering is a vehicle to help them get there faster. Right? People don't like for you to tell them that you'll never get there, that they'll never get there. They don't like that because you don't know that. Right? You don't know that they'll never get there. But what you do know is that your thing will help them get there faster.
Yeah. Because they get to learn from your mistakes. You get to fast track them through some processes, like instead of them having to figure out and YouTube and Google and put it all together, it's like you can give them the framework of do this, then this, then this. That's going to help you get there faster. So you're not saying, "Oh, I think I'm supposed to do this. Oh, I think I'm supposed to do that. Oh, I think
right.
Oh, wait, there was this thing back here that I saw too, like 2 weeks ago. Maybe I'm supposed to do that."
Yes. Yes. And something else I will tell you too, a part of getting to that point is, and this should be really easy, is telling stories. Stories have a basic structure: problem, bigger problem, solution. You tell stories in that way about your previous clients, or about other people you've worked with, or about even stories that are parables, right? Or like, I'll tell if I'm talking to someone who's having a really hard time, that's one of my clients. Like, I like to tell them the story of Job, right? Like, dude, you can't complain because that dude went through absolute horrors. Right. And it's a good metaphor because at the end of it, he was rewarded, right? And you will be too. You just have to make it through with a good attitude. Yeah. Right. And those stories help people process data. We don't do well with like graphs and numbers and abstractions. We do well with narrative.
Yeah, we were born storytellers.
Yeah.
We've been telling stories since we could talk.
Exactly. We're already wired to remember them, right?
Yeah.
I think there was a study that was like, I'll mess up the statistics, but I'll be in the ballpark. But they did a study where they showed some folks facts and figures, and then they showed some different folks the same facts and figures, but told a story around it.
Right.
And the people that got the story were like 66%. They remembered like 66% of it. The other folks remembered like 13%.
Right. Yeah.
So you're going to be memorable when you're telling stories.
Yeah, that's perfect. Well, this has been awesome, and I'm trying to figure out, like, there's so much there already. Do you have anything else? Any parting words? Any last few tips or anything that you would like to share with the audience?
Yeah, the last thing I would say is just get out there and do it. Doesn't matter if it's perfect. Doesn't matter if you feel weird or icky. The more that you do it, the more comfortable you'll become with it. And you'll have these little crazy insights. You'll be like, oh, I need to do this differently, that nobody can teach you. You can only get that by getting out there and doing it.
Right. Right. That's so key. I mean, that's it. I think that's the same, whether it's sales conversations or whether you call them sales conversations, enrollment conversations. But yes, those sales conversations, I personally set an expectation for this year of this was my focus for this year, was to get better at sales conversations.
Oh, nice.
So like I took a freelance position where I could practice more. So my whole thing there is I'm a salesperson, right? I am on the enrollment team, and so that I can learn more. So it's not just those coming into my business, but I get to practice with hers too. And
yeah, definitely. And you have somebody,
because I knew I needed to have more volume faster, so that I can improve faster. And so for those of you that like, oh my gosh, that scares like crap out of me. You put yourself in a position to do more where you weren't like 100% positive. Like when the position was first like suggested to me, like, had you thought about applying for this? I'm like, no.
That terrifies me. No, I'm good. I'll pass.
Right. But I'll say this, like a commitment that I've made to myself is when I realize that something truly terrifies me, I have to go do it anyway, because that's the only way I'm going to get over the terror is to go do it. And that's so right. Whether that was public speaking, years ago, getting up in front of a crowd and speaking, like I might have been sweating bullets and had to wear a jacket to cover the sweat stains underneath the jacket and things like that. Right. Get off. And I'm like, I need a nap, and don't talk to me until like, I don't know, Tuesday, like whatever, like, but the more I did it, now it's like, I can get up and I can speak in front of people, and I can even have a prepared thing, but I can still ad lib, like it's more natural.
Yeah.
It still scares me and I'm still sweating, but I can do it.
You can do it. Yeah. And you know you can do it.
That's the same thing. Yeah. I know I can do it. I know it's not going to kill me. I'm going to walk off the stage, and I'm still going to be breathing, and I'm still going to be alive. And, and it's the same thing with having those sales conversations, because the more you do it, the easier it is. One, the easier it becomes hearing the no as well.
Yeah.
And not attaching value about yourself to it. Because you can't attach value about yourself. It's not about you. When you make sure that it's not about you, when you put yourself in that position, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's about the other person, and it's their choice.
It is.
And really, when they say no, they're either they're not a good fit anyway. So it's okay. You can let them go. Or if you know that it's a good fit, but they can't see it yet, you get a chance to evaluate how well did I help them see their own vision, so that I can do it better next time. But also, sometimes people just cannot buy into their own vision. They just don't trust themselves enough. And it's not that they don't trust you. They don't trust that they'll do the work, or they don't trust that it will work for them. Like it might work for those people over there. It's not for me, even though they want it. And you can help people through that conversation by asking great questions, get over some of those things, but sometimes you just can't, and you can't want it more than them, because then that's going to push you into feeling pushy and salesy.
Yeah.
And coming across pushing and salesy.
Just totally independent of what they do.
Yeah.
You have to show up for them and apply yourself, max effort. Right.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the focus is on max effort. The focus is on improving and running your sales process as best you can. But not on what's going to happen.
Right.
It's not in your control. You don't know.
Yeah.
Right. And like you said, ask great questions. We'll walk them through that. That's your first That's your first opportunity to coach this person. Coach them through the limiting belief that they have, right? And that proves to them, hey, A, you can do this, and B, I'm the right person to help you do this. And then it's easy.
Right. I had a coach a few years ago who used the word, she said, you have to be passionately detached.
Oh, that's a good way to put that.
You have to go into it with all the passion and belief in this potential client. And even once they are a client and you're coaching them, you have to go into those calls with them and those coaching calls and everything with all the passion and belief in them.
Yeah.
But you can't be attached to their outcome. They have to be, right?
Right.
So as long as you're delivering at your best, your highest potential, you're providing, you're showing up, you're doing what you know to do, then the outcome is based on them, not you. And so if you can detach from that, detach from the outcome, then you're able to just serve through the process to get them to their outcome. The same thing happens in a sales conversation.
Yes.
Passionate detachment.
Yeah. Yes. That's great. Because you do need to be passionate. You need to be passionate in your belief in them, your belief in yourself, your process, your program. You need to be passionate about all those things. But just because you're passionate does not mean that people have to sign up. It's still their choice.
Right. It is. And then you can't let that choice. Now, if everybody is saying no, then there's something in your message, because it's still not that you have a bad product or anything like that. There's something in the delivery. So it's an introspective look of how can I do it better next time? What did I not do? It's not even that, like, this is for my ladies that are easily hurt by no. It's not you. And sometimes it is just their decision, but always be looking at, what is it? How can I improve? How could that conversation have gone differently? What did I forget to do? Because sometimes we get into steps and then we forget a step or whatever. And I don't like to use steps that much because I prefer the very organic conversation. Yeah. But in an enrollment conversation, there are still some clear steps, right?
Yeah.
You want to make sure they see their vision. You want to make sure you outline your program, right? You want to make sure you've told them how much it is. All that. Did I even say that? Oh yeah, it's this much, yeah. So there are natural steps, right? But you don't want to be hung up in the process either, because then you feel mechanical. And all of that comes from practice. You can't do it without practice, which means you're going to have failing conversations, right? You're gonna have conversations where you don't make the sale. Yep. And you just chalk every single one of those up to more practice.
Yep. More practice.
At least I did it. Celebrate that you followed through on the conversation even, right?
Right. Like, hey, like I got this person on the phone and I got them to listen to me. That's great. And then ask them why they didn't buy. You might be surprised. Just ask them, maybe not ask them right there in that minute, but the next day, like, hey, I'm just curious. I'm trying to get better. What did I miss?
Yeah.
And you might be surprised to find that what you missed is something that you can solve right there. Maybe they didn't realize you would break up the payments. And they're like, I just couldn't afford $3,000 right now or whatever. And like, okay, I can actually almost solve that. Like, what if we did this? Oh, okay. Then you might get a client right there. And then that educates you later on when someone says the same thing. You're like, is it money? And then, those little experiences that, we can't tell you that you're going to find. It's different for everybody, but you're going to find them. You just have to get out there and do it though.
Right. Okay. So you just mentioned something. Money is often a great excuse to not sign up. Right.
Though? Yeah.
It's not always the issue.
Right.
So, what are some great questions? You have a couple great questions when they say, I just don't have the money.
Yeah.
What are some questions we can ask to help move past that to see what really is the issue?
Yeah. So you need to figure out first if it's money or not, right? But a question that you can ask them is, hey, suppose that you did have the money. What would you do? right?
Mhm.
And that gets them in kind of a yes mode, right? Of like, well, then I would do it. They're like, okay. So the next question would be, why would you do it? And that might sound weird, right?
Right.
But that why, when you ask that why question, you're going to find out whether or not your presentation hit, because it's easy to say yes to that for somebody, which is good. You want them to say yes easily, right? What's going to be harder is for them to articulate it.
Mm.
And that's how you can tell, right? Because if they say, oh, if money was no problem, I'd do it. That might be a cop out. So then you go, so
Right.
why? And they go, and then they'll start talking, and you can see how much of your presentation they retained. You might be surprised to find out they missed a key point,
Mhm.
right? And so then you go, okay, well, suppose that the program did this for you. How would you feel about it then? Or, okay, well, how are you going to find the money? Or let's see, what's another good one is, how are you going to solve this otherwise?
Right.
Right? Or how long can you go on like this? Right? All those things. People can find the money if they're that motivated. If they're motivated enough, if they're that sold, they'll find the money. I mean, I signed up with a business coach one time, and I had to put, it was a $10,000 package. I had to put 30% down. I put it on 3 different credit cards because I knew that I had to do it. I knew this person could help me.
Right.
And I knew that if I put the money in now, I'll make it back because this person can help me, right? I'm struggling. This person can help me. Even though I was broke, I went in and further in the negative to get it. She had properly explained the benefits of the program and also activated the pains that I was experiencing and helped me see that with her help, I'll get there faster. So
Yeah.
what's a few grand on my credit cards, knowing that I'll be closing and building my business and scaling faster in the long run, right? Sometimes too, you have to get people out of thinking about like a consumer. So they might be thinking of your program price as an expense, right?
Mhm.
Because like if I go buy a $3,000 laptop as a consumer, that's an expense. That laptop is not worth anything after it might be worth $1,000 after I open it up and start using it, right?
Right.
But it's really not worth. It's not going to grow in value. A laptop's not going to grow in value. Same thing with a car. If I go buy a $30,000 car, that's an expense. If
Mhm.
I go buy clothes, that's an expense. Whatever I'm buying as a consumer is an expense, right? That money is taken from my account and it's gone forever. But as a business owner, you have to think differently. The things that you're buying as a business owner, they're labeled expenses, but they're really investments, right? If you spend
Right.
$3,000 on a coaching course, that's an investment in skills and knowledge and mentorship that's going to pay off. If you invest $30,000 in a coaching course, again, that's an investment that's going to pay off. And the only reason it wouldn't pay off is if you didn't do the work,
Yeah.
right? So sometimes you have to just shift their thinking and be like, hey, are you thinking about this like a consumer? And they'll be like, what? Like, well, I'm just wondering, like, are you thinking that you're going to throw this money in and just never see anything from it?
Yeah.
Right. And they might say yes. I've had people say yes. They go, well, yeah. And they think I'm dumb for asking that question.
And I think there, then you might have, like, I would see that as an opportunity to ensure that they understand the value, right? They
Yes.
haven't gotten the value of the program
Yes.
if they think that way. They
If they
haven't
think that way.
understood the long-term impact of the program,
Yes.
what you're
Yes.
going to provide for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They might be thinking, I only want to say yes because I like this person. And that's not enough for what we
Right.
do. It's just not enough. And if
I
they do
also
say
love
yes,
your I also love the question you mentioned, like that first one of like, of course, if money was not the issue, if you had all the money in the world, would you do this? And if they say yes. And then I love that why question, because that's them selling them on themselves on it.
yeah.
And so you're not convincing, they're finding the reasons why they should and solidifying the reasons why they should. And that's so powerful for it to come from them. It makes
Yeah.
such a huge difference in that sales process.
Yeah. Yeah. Because people believe what they say, not what they hear, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Back to your first. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. This has been awesome. Thank you so much, Justin. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, of course.
I
You're a great
really
host.
do.
So you asked a really good question.
Thank you. How can my audience get in touch with you? How can they connect with you? What's the best social channel, or where can they find you?
Yeah. So I'm Justin Mark on Facebook. You can find me there. You can also go to my website. It's thecovertcloser.com. And there's actually on my website, there's a free objection handling guide that you can get that covers how to build the questions and stuff like that we've kind of been talking about. It gives like a 6-step process, and you'll get through any objection with holding rapport. That's the other thing. A lot of people try to handle objections. They break the rapport and then they never hear from that person again. Mm-hmm. But if you follow the listen method is what it's called. If you follow that, you will go all the way through the process, close everybody who's closable, and maintain rapport with the people who don't close.
So awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And I'll make sure that all those links are here with the video, with the show, and in the show notes. And y'all get in touch with him. He's awesome. He's just a nice guy too.
Yeah,
he's so easy to talk to. So easy to talk to. We talked for an hour, I think, the first time we met, and it was just like so easy. So it wasn't forced at all.
Likewise.
and neither was today. So yay.
That's awesome.
Sometimes networking meetings can be a little weird, right? So
right.
I think you had reached out to me or something, and it was just like, hey, what do you do? Like, let's just talk and see what do you do, right?
Yeah.
And so it was great because we did get to talk. And just for you guys watching, like I was telling him, about 45 minutes into that conversation, I was like, man, we should have recorded this. I got to have you on my show because this was an awesome conversation and we should have recorded it. So, so here we go. And now you get to get the benefit of a lot of what we talked about the first time, and a lot that we didn't. So awesome. Thank you again so much for being here. I really do appreciate it, Justin.
Yeah, likewise. I'm really grateful to just have the chance to speak to your audience, and maybe some folks got some good nuggets. I hope so.
Most definitely.
Cool.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. I want to make a personal invitation to you to come and join the Kingdom Biz Incubator. This is my group coaching program for women who are in business for the purpose of coaching others, serving others, and creating online coaching programs, online courses. All of that is coaching and serving. Service providers, network marketers who are specifically in the mindset of coaching their clients to their outcome. You are invited as well. In the Kingdom Biz Incubator, I help you learn all of the foundations that you need for a thriving God-driven business. With my soul framework, I help you to solidify your business foundations. I help you to optimize your offer. How do you present what you do? How do you price it? How do you talk about it? What's the messaging around it? I help you to unlock your highest potential. This is all about what happens up in here. And you can't do business to your fullest unless you deal with this too. I hope you heard a little bit about that today in the interview. Things go so together when it comes to business and personal development. So we're removing fear, we're removing overwhelm, the mental blocks, the beliefs that hold you back. That's what we do in that part of the framework. And then the last piece is leading with your powerful signature coaching program. And when I say that coaching program, I don't mean that you have to have the big high paying clients, though you might, because why not? But it's your courses. It's the way that you serve your clients. It's the way you coach them to their desired outcome. Using your products, using your courses, and using your services. And with the soul framework, you will have a successful, thriving, God-driven business. I invite you to join the Kingdom Biz Incubator now. You can go to kingdombizincubator.com and enroll today.